The F-35 is our signature Air Force platform. What percentage of them are fully mission capable today? Mr. Secretary.
Congressman, if you give me a second, I'm going to pull out my card and give you an exact answer.
Okay. Happy to.
Your eyes are probably better than mine. 55% is the number we have for operational availability.
Full operationally capable. 55%.
for
Is that,
operational
do you think that's a good number or a bad number?
I think that's not a good number.
Failing.
I wouldn't put it quite in that category.
A D?
I'd ask General Alvin to comment on that. It's a number we'd like to see something.
Yeah, well, the reason I ask is because we got testimony that is a little contrary to that. Lieutenant General Schmidt, head of the F-35 program, gave testimony to the TAL subcommittee at HASC, and that testimony was that as of February of 2023, so a little over a year ago, only 29% were fully mission capable.
I think we need to talk difference between operational availability and mission capable.
Okay, so how many are fully mission capable today?
I do not have that number, but I would not dispute what the JPO has in front. Now,
So
I would look
29%, so fully mission capable, 29%. You have no basis to dispute that, but you don't really know if it's true or false.
I have no basis to dispute it, but I would like to.
So you would agree that 55% is like a D, that 29% is definitely failing, right?
For fully mission capable, but the missions that they can accomplish.
I go meet with the folks at the 33rd at Eglin Air Force Base in the district I represent, and they're doing a lot of, there's a lot of mission there, but like even the guys who are also at Eglin doing test, they end up being at the very end, right? And I totally get why you want your operational squadrons to be the most capable, but then test gets put to the end, and then we're not meeting our needs. Like, I just think anyone watching this, one, would be surprised that you, General, don't know the exact percentage that are operationally capable. And two, I think people would be surprised that it's 29%. And this GAO report that I found on breakingdefense.com that I seek unanimous consent to enter into the record, it says that the reason we are not capable is because you guys at the Pentagon have given too much power to Lockheed Martin and its subcontractors for sustainment. Do you believe Lockheed Martin has been given too much power on the sustainment of the F-35?
I believe that Lockheed Martin has more power than in some other weapon systems. They do have the contracted logistics system that was part of the procurement plan that was put in place 20 or some years ago.
Well, right, I mean, but it's not working. If the Lockheed Martin built the F-35, only 29% of them are fully operationally capable right now. We've all agreed that's failing. So now the question is, why is it failing? And this GAO report says the reason it's failing is because the fox is watching the hen house. Because the very contractor bilking the taxpayer for this platform is now in a position where they can't sustain it. Do you have a basis to disagree with that conclusion?
I have a long history with the F-35, and I inherited the program. I came into it in 2010. It was a few years into production at that point. And the first time I saw the program laid out, the schedule for it and so on, and when the decisions points were going to be, the question I asked, and I'm going to quote myself, who's running this program, the government or Lockheed Martin? That's a quote from 2010.
I think you have your answer, Mr. Secretary.
And we set up the program when it was originally set up under a philosophy of management called total system performance, which essentially gave to the prime contractor complete control of the program. We did not acquire the intellectual property to allow the government to come in and step in and control the program.
It sounds like
we are still fighting that problem today.
Well, right, but that is such important testimony for us to hear. Every member of the committee heard that. The government isn't running this program. Lockheed Martin's running this program.
That was a question I asked.
Well, it sounds like you got the answer. What's the answer to the question, Mr. Secretary? Because only 29% of them are operationally capable.
We took a lot of steps to try to get that under control. I once imposed a production contract on Lockheed. I dictated a price to them because we couldn't get a negotiation done. I did a unilateral contract. Let them take me to court if they wanted to. They chose not to. Put in place program managers who were very firm with the contractor and insisted on performance. We've had some conversations with the current head of the JPO, and We've had conversations with the CEO of Lockheed.
I appreciate those conversations. I've always found you to be the truth teller. You're always very honest with the committee and straightforward. The problem is the tail here is wagging the dog, and it's not going to get better unless there's accountability for the fact that their planes don't fly. Quality's down, quantity's down, but there was a bright spot I noticed in recruiting. We had Academy Nights recently in my district, and a new question rose to the top that I hadn't really heard in a lot of previous years. So many students came to me and said, Congressman, which of these academies should I go to if I want to be in the Space Force? And I think we've really ignited a sense of imagination and interest in the Space Force. How long until I'm able to offer these students a great space academy to attend?
Congressman, thank you so much for that question. We're certainly seeing a lot of interest in our own data. We don't have a strategy right now that says stand up our own academy. We're leveraging the Air Force at the moment. But I really appreciate the comment about the interest that is out there, and I will take that back.
Yeah, I think we should devise a plan to at least see what metrics or when that might be necessary and to plan for it. And what we've learned particularly about this generation is that there's got to be a real interest in that particular mission, that particular thing, not just the overall brand. And so that's why I think it would be helpful. I want to ask you some questions, General Glynn. What does it cost us to have a Marine Corps?
You mean the overall?
Yeah, just ballpark.
It's just over $50 billion a year.
Right. And how much of that do you manage in your portfolio?
It's just about, I'm trying to do math in my head here. When you divide, it's about $4 or $5 billion a year.
Okay. And what if we doubled it? Like what your portfolio, what if I gave you $2 for every dollar you get now? What would be like some stuff you could do?
There's a host of
It's exciting, isn't it?
investments in the people that yeah, immediately.
You probably weren't expecting that question from me.
It's not an offer I get very frequently.
Right, but what's interesting is it's like the offer we've made to Ukraine is actually more than the cost of the United States Marine Corps. In this supplemental that we are about to vote on, there is $61 billion for Ukraine, and it's about $50 billion to have a Marine Corps. So we could double our investment in the Marine Corps, or we could vote for this supplemental. And I'm just going through it, and there's stuff here that is really insulting. The $300 million for the anti-narcotics efforts in Ukraine. So we're about to proceed onto a bill that does nothing to protect Americans from the narcos in Mexico and the Northern Triangle and in this country. But we got $300 million to go fight the narcos in Ukraine. And it doesn't end there. $250 million for the International Development Association. Now, I did not know what that was, but I knew it probably wasn't good. Turns out it's an arm of the World Bank. We are $34 trillion in debt. We are on a glide path to $50 trillion in debt. And we are borrowing money from China to give it to the World Bank. And then I looked at where this money got dispersed, and it's places like Niger. Niger, where we have Air Force and we have Army service members who are not getting their medicine, who are not able to get their troop rotations, who are not able to get their mail, because there are not diplomatic overflights allowed so that we can care for our own service members. So in a bit, we will hear many of our colleagues